Hello, today I'll be going over Moshe Muhammad's The Reluctant Fundamentalist and the various conformity ads from the 50s talking about women. So I start off in The Reluctant Fundamentalist and in The Woman Ads of Conformity. Author Moshe Muhammad and various uh, artists of the conformity ads utilize association and irony through dialogue to characterize the American as very judgmental, offensive, uh, critiquing the stereotypically racist and offensive beliefs held against minorities in America. So we could see this starting off in the first page of Moshe Hamid's book, The Reluctant Fundamentalist, as he states, I see. Well, Chengiz is speaking, and he states, I see. I have alarmed you. Do not be frightened by my beard. I am a lover of America. I think this connects that the fact that the American is frightened merely because of his beard somewhat, shocks the audience as, they see the flaws in the quick judgment of Changez's appearance. And I also think that Changez having to point it out kind of shows how, strong this judgment goes forward to the fact that he thinks he needs to state the fact that he's a lover of America, even though he's already a citizen. I think that also goes further to state that, to further the claim. We could also see this in page 107 of Motion Homage, where he says, "It is impossible to tell, sir, given the gloom about us and the unexpressive cast of your face, but I suspect you are looking at me with a degree of revulsion. Certainly, I would look at you in such manner if you had just told me what I have told you." And I think that the fact that the American is, revulsed by Hamid, even though he did, say something pretty bad, illustrates how judgmental he is, while also illustrating, his inability to, like, understand or even want to understand changes Changez's point of view as a foreigner. We could also see this in the woman's conformity ads of the 50s, specifically the first one, which states that she can have a tummy and still look yummy. And it's kind of talking throughout the ad of the idea that needing to look at your best at all times, even when sometimes you'll have, you'll be pregnant and they still see the need of pointing out uh, kind of the conformity of needing to look good. And I think by stating that, it kind of is demeaning if you are not, and it's like regardless of the situation, it's very judgmental in the fact that that's kind of the set in stone idea of a woman. Uh, Further on, I have Hamid and the various artists then associate the Americans with conflict and societal tendencies to reveal his stereotypical beliefs and how wrong it is to stereotype against others because of their appearance. And this starts off in page 138, where Emotion Hamid states, "After all, one reads that the soldiers of our country are sent to battle with chocolate in their rations, so the prospect of sugaring a tongue before undertaking even the bloodiest of tasks cannot be entirely alien to you." So I think words such as soldiers and battle kind of stereotype Americans uh, kind of as being war animals and hungry for war and thirsting kind of conflict rather than resolution. Uh, and I think the connotation of where he states the bloody task kind of also ties back to the idea of wanting war, since it's kind of associating itself to war and somewhat violence in a way, which furthermore kind of puts the US in a bad light and specifically kind of villainizing them, uh, you know, as they stereotype them for the wrongful ideas. Uh, yep. And we could also see this on page 108, where it states, "And if you should sense that he has taken a disliking to you, I would ask you to be so kind as to ignore it. His tribe merely spans both sides of our border with neighboring Afghanistan, as suffered during offensive conducted by your countrymen." And I think by Hamid saying this, he also like further associates that the American people with war through words such as offensive as countrymen, kind of states how like they connect to war in that same way. And we see this in the woman conformity ads, as in the second uh, ad of conformity, it states there's various phrases such as "beauty is my business" and "I work as a model, so my complexion needs to be perfect." And I think these stereotypical beliefs and tendencies uh, of appearance kind of also bring in the same fact of societal tendencies, which is very judgmental as noted in the past, but it also you know has overlying or underlying uh, penalties, I guess you could say. And lastly, I have that through changes and the ads of dialogue, the text shines a light on the volatile stereotypes held by both the outlier and American people, urging his audience to turn away from such beliefs. And this starts off when he states that Motion Hamid states, "But they mean you no harm, I assure you. It seems an obvious thing to say, but you should not imagine that we Pakistanis are all potential terrorists, just as we should not imagine that you Americans are all undercover assassins." And obviously, by associating Pakistanis with terrorists and Americans with assassins, Hamid illuminates, kind of that uh, like an irony. It kind of shows an irony of like jumping to these conclusions that I guess, what am I trying to say here? Hamid's choice to conclude the novel this way, like, it kind of spurs the audience to reflect upon their own beliefs and how judgmental they've been throughout the novel, and how you would not like to face this too. And I think this is also shown in the last ad, in which it states, "So the harder a wife works, the cuter she looks." And I think by associating the women of the 90s as only the workers in the house, it kind of illuminates the vast stereotypes of them being unable to do anything else, and the woman not being able to help since they feel that working a woman to, you know, the hardest would make them cuter. And I think that kind of shows the inequality between the beliefs, kind of connecting back to uh, my initial statement, which is that in the Reluctant Fundamentalists and in the Woman's Ad of Conformity, they both kind of use irony and dialogue to critique the racist and offensive beliefs of America.